lead goes Roland Ratzenberger from pole position, chased by Philippe Favre, and the rest of the pack storming up to Paddock Bend for the first of 20 laps. All safely through paddock, up to Druids, and there is Ratzenberger out front from Favre, Robertson, Yarboletto, Van Oytert in 5th place, and the rest of the pack screaming through. Ratzenberger got that oh-so-important start. He's made the break. He's ahead of Favre, Robertson, Yarboletto. Peter Rogers, in fact, doing well in 5th, ahead of Van Oytert. Into clearways for the first time. The leaders all playing it sensibly. There's Van Oytert. A bit of a gaggle weaving and banging through clearways, but again, everybody getting through for the first lap as they stream out onto top straight with Ratzenberger and Favre, the two favourites for this final, beginning to edge away from the pack, led by Robertson. The form so far this weekend has shown these two in a class of their own, and it looks as though it's going to be that way with these two edging away from Robertson. Van Oytert then about 6th place ahead of McGarrity from Northern Ireland in the Crosley. All safely through. Robertson, though, for Great Britain, chasing up in 3rd place, but need to move away from 4th place man. He's trying to join these leading two. He's trying to join Ratzenberger and Favre. Favre holding on to Ratzenberger. 4th place there, Yarboletto in the Reynard chassis. The other three ahead of him, all in Van Diemen's. So, Favre is not going to let Ratzenberger go. Up towards Paddock Hill Bend. Favre closes in under braking. Not yet close enough to try and overtake him manoeuvre. Robertson free in 3rd, but diving through into 4th place there. Peter Rogers in the laser. He was the fastest man in the semi-finals. Did the fastest lap time. And Rogers there we see now in 4th, ahead of Yarboletto, Van Oytert and Dewhurst. So the front three now. Robertson doing very well to go with these two ahead of him. Rogers has got a lot of work to do to try and catch these front three, and in fact he's got Yarboletto right behind him. There we see Rogers. Van Oytert dives inside Yarboletto, pushing him down another place just ahead of Dewhurst in the Quest. But it's Favre and Ratzenberger out front. Favre looking for any way to get by the Austrian. The Swiss shadowing him into Paddock Hill Bend now, looking for where he can overtake. Robertson hanging on. Rogers now pulling away from Van Oytert, Yarboletto and Dewhurst. A good, clean start. Nobody getting lost in the early charge. There's Phil Andrews, who's had a poor festival, having had problems in practice, but up to about 9th or 10th place in the final. Through Surtees, these two men, both of them undefeated so far. The Austrian leads the Swiss. Rogers in 4th, Van Oytert sliding wide in 5th place. Now Favre's close enough. You have to really get into that gearbox, get the slipstream, and Favre is looking to go. He's going to hold to the outside. Now he'll try and cut back, hold a tighter line exiting Paddock and get up the inside for Druids. He didn't quite do it. Ratzenberger's got that line covered, so Favre switches to the racing outside line. Robertson now closing in with the leaders dueling. This is giving Robertson the chance to chase up ahead. So Ratzenberger still holding sway. Favre looking on the inside at Surtees, which is not the place to overtake. He's just really trying to move in and out of Ratzenberger's mirrors, trying to unsettle the leader into making a mistake. The gaggle there all following through while the leaders in the background go on to Cooper Straight to finish their 5th lap. Quarter distance, 15 more hard laps for Ratzenberger to hold Favre behind. Peter Rogers there in the background, beginning to slowly close in on Robertson. He's gone a bit wide there, but he's definitely closing. So we really do have a four-way battle here. The two British boys chasing hard after the Austrian and the Swiss. Down through Graham Hill Bend, flat out in 3rd gear. Peter Rogers, he was the fastest lap so far in this festival, very close to the lap record. So he has been the fastest man on a single lap. But he's been fighting his way up through the field throughout the festival, but now he looks like the challenging man. He's very close to Robertson now, and very soon I think we could have a change for that 3rd place perhaps. Here now, Rogers right in the slipstream. Off there we have at Clearways, one of the regular overtaking, and there's Dewhurst. That could well be Yavoletto in the white car, but certainly that's Rowan Dewhurst. His festival is over. But up to Druid, still Ratzenberger holding on. So sadly, yes, it was indeed there, Yavoletto. A great shame. The 20-year-old Finn, European champion. He's really been the sensation of this series. We haven't seen him much in this country, and he thinks he's got a great future. But the leaders, Ratzenberger still holding sway over Favre. Robertson beginning to drop away as he defends that third place from Rogers. Rogers needs to get by Robertson if he's going to challenge the two up front. Favre still not really close enough to overtake. Shadowing him, making Ratzenberger use defensive lines, and in the background, Rogers trying to find a way around Robertson. Two hectic dices. I can't help but feel if Peter Rogers here could get past Robertson, he could well catch these two in front. He was the quickest, but Rogers needs to get on and get past before those two leaders get away too far. So again, Ratzenberger gets out onto top straight, and this time Favre's closer than we've seen for a few laps. Now Favre is in overtaking range. He's in that slipstream. He's going to duck out to the left. He's going to make Ratzenberger take the tight line, and now he'll try and flick inside to hold the line. Rogers still can't get by Robertson. Fifth, Van Oytert on his own after we lost Yavoletto. Sixth, McGarity. Seventh, Ringo Hine, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, but there in about 13th place, Vivian Daly, brother of former Grand Prix driver Derek Craig. Daly's got his Mondial nose cone tucked underneath the nose, so he's lost most of it. It won't worry him at all. It's only an aerodynamic device, so he's going to keep his head back. But Favre's still out front, putting pressure on Ratzenberger. Sadly there, Robertson being very defensive. Rogers and he now dropping back as Robertson concentrates more on defending that third place than catching these two flying Continentals. Again, Favre there. He makes Ratzenberger take a tight line, and then he tries to tuck inside for the run up to Druids. That's always the classic way, but so far Ratzenberger's managed to take Paddock Hill Bend quick enough to get on the inside. This really is a good battle. Both these drivers, sensible drivers. They're not young hooligans, they're seasoned campaigners. But here's still that battle for third. Peter Rogers must be fuming inside there. If only he could get by, he thinks, he could catch those two leaders. As it is, the leaders are edging away, and Robertson, we see here, taking that very defensive inside line, which is really slowing them both up, and they're dropping away from the two front runners. Rogers now starting a very early build. Robertson being very rude indeed. That was really a bit more than normal Formula Ford weaving, and this is just, it's becoming a bit silly. Rogers trying the wide line to get inside Robertson. So very frustrating for Peter Rogers here. Robertson then shocked him on the straight just when he had a very good run at him for Paddock Hill Bend. Robertson rudely moved over in the middle of the straight, and it's not doing their chances of winning any good at all. So now Peter Rogers must try again. Robertson holds the inside line, no chance. So Peter Rogers tees himself up to slingshot onto the straight as he did before to get the run at Robertson on the straight. Again now, he is right in that slipstream. Again, he'll snap out. This time Robertson feeling a bit guilty about the last time. Maybe now go on Peter, he's got to outbrake and get round the outside at Paddock. But no, he's not going to do it. Robertson again holds on to that third place, and the two leaders get further and further away. So the leaders now both holding station. We're past half distance now, coming up to finish 12 laps. And still the two leaders edging away from this hectic scrap for third place. Peter Rogers very keen to get past. Again now, into that slipstream, slingshot out on the approach. Now is a lovely dive, he's dubbing in, Robertson shutting the door, and really that was justice. That was justice deserved. Robertson came to shut the door too late, and he's ended up in the wall. Hopefully Rogers won't have damaged his car. There's Peter Rogers. He had to dummy him, he dummied to the out, so now foot down Peter, see if you can catch those two leaders. There is Steve Robertson. He'll probably go and tell all and sundry that he was knocked off, but that's Formula Ford racing, and sometimes you have to be forceful to get by, and Peter Rogers was certainly that. So here we have the manoeuvre. Peter Rogers had dummied Robertson to move. He dummied down the inside. Robertson shut the door very, very late, but Peter Rogers decided enough was enough, time to come. The front wheel unfortunately flicked inside Robertson's and sent Robertson flying towards the barriers. So now, can Peter Rogers do anything about these two up front? It's really a long gap, and Ratzenberger holding off Favre with 7 laps still to go. But the gap is really fairly large, and unless these two start dicing to such an extent they slow each other up, I can't see Peter Rogers catching. Favre shadowing, looking for Ratzenberger to make his first mistake of the weekend. I haven't seen one from this young Austrian yet, and Favre will be hoping to pressure him into making one. Certainly Ratzenberger there. We have a bit of an off. That's David Germain in a Ray chassis. He's done his car no good at all. And there's Vivian Daly we see, and another rotating Tim Sugden. The backfield group beginning to get carried away with this Formula Ford final. But meanwhile, the leaders stay the same. The ever shadowing Favre. Both in Van Diemen chassis, but Ratzenberger with a Minister-tuned Ford engine and Favre with a Scholar-tuned Ford engine. So we have two tuning concerns, but Favre really is putting the pressure on. He hasn't yet shaped up to make a move, but he's ever so close. Again now, this slipstreaming effect when the car behind gets sucked along. But Favre really not quite close enough. He needs to get that nose cone in the gearbox. Again, he looks to the outside, but he's too far back to do anything about it. Ratzenberger driving with a very cool head. Favre tries to, but no chance. Ratzenberger takes the inside. Favre looks to the outside. But Ratzenberger is being very clean. He knows what he's doing. He's putting his car in the right place that he wants to be on the track. So 15 laps down. Ratzenberger still holds off. Rogers now a lonely third. The Dutchman Van Oyt 4th. Alan McGarrity doing an excellent job in 5th. And Ringo Hein having a very good festival in 6th place. 7th there, Phil Andrews. Now again, out onto Coombs Track. This time, Favre does look close. This time, he's right in that gearbox. The slipstream is there. He's trying to make Ratzenberger move one way or the other, trying to dummy in the mirrors. This time, he's thinking of having a go. But again, Ratzenberger is very late on the brakes on that inside line and still manages to hold sway. So Roland really seems to have got this race under control. He can even stay on the inside line at paddock and still get through without leaving that gap on the inside from Favre. The lap's beginning to tick off now. We're coming to the finish, the 17th lap with only 3 left to do. Favre has got to find something from somewhere to usurp Ratzenberger in the lead. Again, this time coming along the top straight, not quite as close as he's been before. It looks a bit too much of a gap to overtake, and Ratzenberger's not been making any mistakes so far. This time, though, there you see Favre trying to pull his car inside Ratzenberger's on the run-up to Jewett's, but he can't quite get close enough to edge inside that red Van Diemen that he's been following. Down Cooper Straight, only 2.5 laps left. What can Philippe Favre, the 24-year-old Swiss, do about the 24-year-old Austrian? 2 young drivers with a very good future in motor racing, and this festival's got 2 laps to run after all the heats, quarterfinals, semi-finals. Neither man's been beaten yet, but one has to lose this battle. third gear for Paddock. This time Favre is edging that nose cone, but Ratzenberger knows exactly when to move over and take that line. Never letting Favre even get a nose cone inside his rear wheel, holding the line really to perfection. So 1.5 laps to go. Favre hasn't tried at clearways yet, the dive inside at clearways. Here we go through Surtees, almost flat, no chance of overtaking in third gear. But now it's the sneak to clearways, but Ratzenberger now is being very defensive. Roland is holding the classic inside line as they go on now to start their last lap. Can Favre do anything? He is very close. Will it be all or nothing at Paddock? He's got to think of something. He's tried this manoeuvre a dozen times, and it's never paid off. And again, but this time Ratzenberger gets a bit of a slide on. Can Favre get up the inside? No. Takes the outside line. Again, Ratzenberger driving it incredibly coolly so far. Rounds Druid Bend. Really only 2 more corners left to go before Roland Ratzenberger wins this Formula Ford Festival. Favre's only chance now is clearways, but Ratzenberger was holding a tight line there on the lap before. He looks on the inside at Surtees, no chance at all there. Ratzenberger will stick to his guns on the inside of clearways, but Favre now is looking. He's made the slight mistake he was looking for. Ratzenberger made the mistake on the very last lap. Who's got the speed? Who's got the slingshot onto the straight? It's going to be absolutely, but the Ratzenberger has it by half the length. Having made no mistakes at all, Roland Ratzenberger slid 2 inches too wide at clearways, let Favre that gap he'd been looking for the whole of the race, but it was just too late. If there'd been 1 more lap, Philippe Favre would have had that lead on that lap for sure. Well, a tremendous victory for Roland Ratzenberger and a tremendous for Favre. But here we see through Surtees, Ratzenberger has been very defensive at this clearways. He knew this was the last corner. All he had to do was hold tight, but he almost overdid it. He kept in tight, and here, just going in so tight, he slid out. There the car slides. Favre saw half an opening, and he was inside. That's what he'd hoped for the previous 19 laps. This time, on the 20th and final laps, Favre would have taken the lead at Paddock Corner, but as it was, Ratzenberger had the acceleration out on the outer line, and there was no way Favre could get him before they crossed the line inches apart. So, Roland Ratzenberger takes the Formula Ford Festival crown back to Austria. Swiss man Philippe Favre second, Peter Rogers an excellent drive to third, Dutchman Van Oyt fourth, Alan McGarity, Northern Ireland fifth, and Ringo Hine a very good sixth.